I am again thankful to all news media outlets for letting me use their contents. I greatly appreciate that. I am available 24/7 if they need any assistance. Now go to the headlines. Hi and very warm welcome at Amir Shackle 5858. I am Amir Shackle. Following news headlines have been reported by world major English news channels and news agencies. So please watch it.
Tonight, the fallout after the group chat that exposed top American officials thinking ahead of military strikes. Top Democrats and Republicans demanding answers and calling for investigations as the White House tries to downplay the significance. The president standing by the National Security Advisor saying he's learned his lesson. But top intelligence officials face intense questions about the leak, discussing plans to attack Houthi positions in Yemen, while a top editor was in a text thread. So how did such a messy lapse occur? Serious concerns about Social Security, the nominee for Administrator grilled, as Elon Musk calls it a Ponzi scheme. Can trillions in cuts be made without impacting payments to so many Americans? Our exclusive inside NATO's new deep-sea mission to fend off Russia from slashing critical cables that carry power, data, and a lifeline to Europe. Why officials in Costa Rica now say the son of former Yankees star Brett Gardner didn't die of asphyxiation while on vacation. What more parents are considering doing for their kids as measles cases rise. Seeing red over dyes in food, the first state to ban more than 7 of them, and why 20 more states aren't far behind. And all the pretty horses, how actor Daryl Hannah and her miniature pals are making a big impression.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
All right, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett has stooped to yet another low, and adding on to a string of vile comments over the weekend, she seemingly made fun of Texas governor, friend of this program, Greg Abbott, for using a wheelchair. Take a look at this latest disgusting remark.
We in these hot Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot mess, honey.
And don't forget, she wants to hit Senator Cruz over the head hard and take down Elon as a birthday gift. Now, following intense backlash, Jasmine Crockett posted this pathetic response on X, claiming she was not thinking about his condition. Instead, was referring to the, quote, planes, trains, and automobiles that are used to transfer migrants into communities led by black mayors. Really? Now, before saying she never alluded to his condition, and of course, she took a jab at Trump supporters. Now, following this latest controversy involving Crockett, Texas Congressman Randy Weber, he told Fox News that he will introduce a censure resolution against her. Now, instead of hurling insults at him, maybe she and her fellow Democrats could learn a thing or two about governing from Abbott, who's working to push really hard for the people in the great state of Texas. God bless Texas. They want school choice. And Texas Governor Greg Abbott is here with us now. Texas Governor, good to see you. God bless Texas. You had an accident at 26, and you were jogging, and you had a very severe injury, and yes, you are in a wheelchair, and I've gotten to know you. You're a personal friend of mine. I take it personally when friends of mine are attacked viciously for no reason, and there's no way in hell that this woman and her ex-post is going to convince me she meant anything other than what we all believe it to be. Your reaction?
Well, Sean, is another day and another disaster by the Democrats. The reality is they have no vision, no policy. They have nothing to sell but hate. And Americans are not buying it. It's one reason why Texas is going to remain red and why Republicans are going to continue to win elections across the country. The fact, Sean, is that Texas is actually in direct contrast to what she was talking about. Texas has ranked number 1 for the most new jobs in America over the past month. number one for the most new jobs over the past year and for several years. Texas ranks number one for the most new economic development projects for 13 years in a row. CEOs who run businesses have ranked Texas the best state for doing business for 20 years in a row. And Texas is in the vanguard as it concerns the future of the United States, such as space exploration, such as artificial intelligence, such as semiconductors, as well as power generation. The bottom line is that Republican states like Texas are leading the way, and with comments like this by Democrats, we will just leave them in the dust in future elections.
And by the way, when the next census comes, Texas, I'm sure, will pick up a lot of extra congressional districts, which would be great for Republicans. Let me ask you, I love the idea.
Tonight, the new fallout over that security breach. U.S. war plans reportedly discussed from a messaging app. President Trump standing by his team and downplaying the lapse as lawmakers from both sides of the aisle demand answers. Russia and Ukraine agree to a limited ceasefire in the Black Sea, and the incredible rescue following a plane crash on an icy lake. First, President Trump defending his embattled national security advisor, the man who reportedly added a journalist to a Signal app group chat with the White House inner circle, saying Mike Waltz is a good man and he will continue to do a good job. President Trump downplaying the issue, saying he doesn't believe they shared classified information. And on Capitol Hill, the fireworks. Democrats and some Republicans livid, demanding answers from national security officials. Martha Raddatz with late reporting. Russia and Ukraine agree to limit their attacks on each other, including a truce in the Black Sea after separate meetings with White House officials. But will it hold? Firefighters race to contain wildfires in the Carolinas. Dry conditions helping to spread the flames as record heat grips the West. Ahead of a new cross-country storm, Ginger Z timing it all out. The new twist in the tragic death of former New York Yankees star Brett Gardner's son while the family was on vacation. What we're learning tonight. Chilling new video of the deadly mass shooting at a New Mexico car show. Urgent new warnings for millions to delete their DNA data from the genetic testing company 23andMe after it filed for bankruptcy. Charges tonight, the terrifying smash-and-grab robbery of a jewelry store outside New York City. The stolen goods worth nearly $2 million. And America Strong tonight, the incredible rescue on the ice in Alaska and the community that came together to find a missing family.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. It's great to have you with us on this Tuesday night. I'm Wade Johnson in for David. We begin tonight with the explosive breach in national security unfolding in the nation's capital. Late today, President Trump downplaying that remarkable lapse and defending his top intelligence officials who reportedly discussed highly sensitive U.S. war plans in Yemen using an unauthorized messaging app and inviting a journalist to join their group chat by mistake. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe testifying before a heated Senate panel today. Democrats calling it incompetence, unprofessional, and, quote, an utter screw-up, insisting American lives were put at risk. The Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, says he was added to that chat before the attack on Houthi rebels, which included Vice President J.D. Vance, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and other top officials. President Trump claiming no classified information was shared and attacking the journalists his team included in the group chat. Democrats calling for an investigation, saying if the chat was not classified, it should be made public. ABC's chief global affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz leads us off in Washington.
Tonight, President Trump trying to downplay an extraordinary lapse in national security. Members of his...
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Maurice Dubois.
I'm John Dickerson.
The chat was all the talk today.
The security breach that allowed a journalist to join a chat in which the Trump National Security Team was planning an attack on Houthi rebels in Yemen. The president downplayed it, insisting there was nothing classified in the chat, which used the texting app known as Signal.
On Capitol Hill, members of Congress did what they usually do, choosing sides and adjectives. Republicans call the breach a mistake.
But Democrat Mark Warner chose sloppy, careless, incompetent, and topped it all off with fiasco.
Republican John Kennedy said most Americans don't care about the breach, but fellow Republican Lindsey Graham acknowledged we dodged a bullet.
And CBS News has learned the administration was warned recently not to use the Signal app because it is not secure. Ed O'Keefe is at the White House. Ed?
Good evening, guys. That's right. A little more than 2 weeks before that journalist was accidentally added to the group text, CBS News has learned the National Security Agency issued this memo warning against using Signal. Because it's so popular, the NSA warned, Signal could be a, quote, high-value target to intercept sensitive information. President Trump insisted today that texting troubles caused by his top officials weren't a big deal.
There was no classified information, as I understand it.
But Atlantic Magazine editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg, who was added accidentally to the Signal group chat, says top officials were discussing sensitive, secretive war plans to bomb Houthi rebels in Yemen.
I found it completely improbable that the top national security leadership in the United States would be discussing on a commercial messaging app the possible imminent attack on another country. And that they would mistakenly, I assume mistakenly, invite the editor-in-chief of the Atlantic Magazine into their discussion.
Goldberg reported that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth shared highly sensitive operational details about the March 15 strikes, including targets, weapons the U.S. would be deploying, and when they'd be fired. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, who originally invited Goldberg to the chat, was one of many Trump allies today who sought to discredit him.
This journalist, Mr. President, wants the world talking about more hoaxes and this kind of nonsense rather than the freedom that you're enabling.
Democrats on Capitol Hill were infuriated the administration wasn't taking any responsibility for the mistake, grilling National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe, both of whom were part of the group chat.
On why they used a commercial messaging app to discuss war plans. The Wall Street veteran nominated to lead the Social Security Administration is questioned about potential cuts at the agency. And we speak with Finland's president about efforts to end the war Russia started in Ukraine.
European security is in the interest of American security and vice versa.
Thank you. Welcome to the News Hour. A typically ordinary Senate hearing on worldwide threats to the U.S. became contentious today following news of a major national security breach. The editor-in-chief of The Atlantic revealed yesterday that he was accidentally put into a chat on the Signal messaging app with top U.S. officials as they discussed military strikes in Yemen. Two of those officials testified in the Senate hearing today. Our congressional correspondent, Lisa Desjardins, has our report.
I can just say this. If this was the case of a military officer or an intelligence officer and they had this kind of behavior, they would be fired.
Democrats on the Senate Intelligence Committee today hammered CIA Director John Ratcliffe and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard over the Signal chat security breach.
Director Ratcliffe, were you on the group chat?
Senator, I was on a Signal messaging group.
So you were the John Ratcliffe on that chat?
I was.
Thank you.
Throughout the heated hearing, Ratcliffe and Gabbard stayed cool, confirming they do use the encrypted app for work purposes and stating it's allowed for high-level use. Initially, both denied the chat contained classified information.
To be clear, I haven't participated in any Signal group messaging that relates to any classified information at all.
Director Gabbard? Senator, I have the same answer. I have not participated in any Signal group chat or any other chat on another app that contained any classified information.
In The Atlantic's bombshell report, editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg wrote the text chain disclosed, quote, information about targets, weapons the U.S. would be deploying, and attack sequencing. Asked about those specifics, Gabbard and Ratcliffe gave versions of the same non-answer.
I don't recall.
I don't recall giving that instruction.
In that setting, I don't recall.
with a few definitive moments.
The deliberation between principals in our national security apparatus about whether or not to strike another country, would you consider that to be classified information?
Pre-decisional strike deliberation should be conducted through classified channels.
Is your testimony that it was appropriate that he was added to this signal thread?
Democrats say the chat posed an unacceptable national security risk.
Did you know that the president's Middle East advisor was in Moscow on this thread while you were, as director of the CIA, participating in this thread? Were you aware of that? Are you?
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israel's renewed all-out killing of Palestinians in Gaza is continuing into its second week, with at least 23 people dead before dawn today, including 7 children. On Monday, an Israeli strike on Beit Lahia killed the noted Al Jazeera journalist Hassam Shabbat. This is Shabbat's colleague, Mahmoud Abu Salameh.
We heard the sound of the explosion near the Indonesian hospital. We rushed immediately at the moment of targeting. At the moment we heard the sound of this explosion, we headed to the place and saw the targeting of our colleague, journalist Hassam Shabbat. We were shocked by the scene. This is our colleague Hassam's car, and this is his blood.
A statement by Hassam Shabbat's team posted after his killing Monday reads in part, quote, "For the past 18 months, I've dedicated every moment of my life to my people. I documented the horrors in northern Gaza minute by minute, determined to show the world the truth they tried to bury," unquote. Shabbat added, "I ask you now, do not stop speaking about Gaza. Do not let the world look away. Keep fighting. Keep telling our stories until Palestine is free." Later in the broadcast, we'll speak to another of Hassam Shabbat's colleagues, Drop Site News editor Sharif Abdel-Qadoos. He'll join us in studio. Separately on Monday, another journalist, Palestine Today correspondent Mohammed Mansour, was killed in an airstrike north of Khan Yunis. In the occupied West Bank, a mob of masked and armed Israeli settlers Monday brutally attacked Hamdan Bilal, the Palestinian Oscar-winning director of the documentary No Other Land. The group of at least 15 settlers also assaulted activists with the Center for Jewish Nonviolence. The attack took place in the village of Susia in the Masafar Yatta region. One of Bilal's co-directors, journalist Basil Adra, said the group entered their village and started the assault shortly after residents broke their daily Ramadan fast. Bilal screamed, "I'm dying," as he was being brutally beaten. He was then loaded while heavily bleeding into an Israeli military vehicle. He has not been seen.
Some unions veering to the right this Tuesday night. Why more labor groups are endorsing the Conservatives.
I'm deeply touched to have them on side.
And the policies Pierre Poilievre once rejected that he's now embracing.
He is lying to you.
Security snafu, the uproar after top U.S. officials share top-secret military plans in a group chat and mistakenly include a journalist. Ceasefire at the Black Sea, what Ukraine and Russia have agreed to, and what's still unclear. Plus, the beaver logs in 50 years as an official Canadian symbol.
Well, it's just this animal that has become our great comeback story.
How this designation spawned from a spat with Americans.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Day 3 of the federal election campaign, and there are some surprising developments that reveal shifting loyalties as all the parties watch the opinion polls. The latest poll, this one done by Leger, shows the Liberal Party of Canada leading in voting intentions. 44% of those surveyed say if an election were held today, they would vote Liberal, compared to 38% for the Conservatives. Only 6% say they choose the NDP. The party leaders are all jockeying to embrace policies they hope are vote winners. Today, the Conservative leader embraced pharmacare and dental care, and the Conservatives got a big endorsement that usually goes to the NDP. Our coverage begins with David Aiken.
Well, Donna, this is Hamilton, Steel Town, a union town. And the country's steelworkers union, 250,000 strong, is backing the NDP in this election, as it often does. But an increasing number of other private sector unions are lining up behind Pierre Poilievre's conservative campaign.
We need boots, not suits.
Thank you. It's another slogan from the conservative leader, but it's one backed up with policy. He will extend a $4,000 apprenticeship grant set to end this month that he says will help create 350,000 new jobs in the trades. That's one reason the Boilermakers Union is endorsing Poilievre. It's the first time that the 12,000-member union has endorsed a federal conservative.
I am deeply touched to have them on side, and I hope there will be many more incredible trade unions that train up our people and build up our country to put Canada first.
Other private sector unions representing, for example, electrical contractors, carpenters, and general laborers are also praising Poilievre's plan. These endorsements, though, are the payoff for dozens of visits Poilievre has made to shop floors around the country in the last 18 months, talking directly to workers and their union leadership.
They will be building homes, building pipelines, digging mines, moving our goods, literally building this country with their own hands. They will join with us to bring home our jobs and security.
Thank you very much for giving time to Amir Shekel 5858. I am Amir Shekel. Have a good life. Bye-bye.